On the background of this video, you see a scene. This is not a real thing. Those are two actors. But the situation suggests the follows: that a woman is followed by a creep. And the creep obviously has bad intentions because he has a hood on so that nobody notices him. So, he doesn't want to be recognized, yet he's following this woman. So this woman looks behind and realizes, oh dear, something bad's about to happen. And she's probably right. If something like this would happen in real life, you should get away from the situation as fast as possible. Now look, when we experience disruption in our daily life, we tend to look at physical actors. Maybe we lost the car keys and we keep looking around the house. Where did we leave those car keys? And if we have children in the house, we tend to think maybe one of the children took the car keys, which is a logical way of thinking. And then later you find the car keys on a place you've looked before. But then you think, oh, probably I just forgot to look. Maybe I just forgot to look the right way. You make excuses for it. But the more this happens, the more you are gaslighted by the familiar spirits. Because let me tell you, there are times when disruption happens in your life and it's not by human hands. It's not by human agency. See, sometimes it's evil spirits themselves that are assaulting you. But because you don't see the evil spirits directly, in this case, this woman sees the creep that's coming after her. So in this case, she can see what's going on. But when it's evil spirits assaulting you, you often don't see them. But you notice the outworking in the material realm. For example, there are entities that hide objects. They blur the light waves in a room that cause you not to see certain objects. For example, your car keys. It may be on the desk, and you looked on the desk 4 times. At the 5th time, suddenly you notice that your car keys are right over there. What happened? An entity blurred the light waves in the room so that you couldn't see the car keys, even though they were there all the time. This is a form of gaslighting. I explained that before. There are entities doing this. Now, in your daily transactions, this can also happen. Maybe you are at the mall, you're about to pay with your bank card, but your bank card bounces. So you pay with cash, you have cash with you. And then you call the bank, and the bank checks it for you. The bank realizes that, hold on a minute, this is weird. There's no blocking on your card. You still have enough credit on it. So even the bank cannot explain what happened. I'm telling you what happened. It were familiar spirits causing this dysfunction to cause you to doubt. Now, when entities gaslight you, it always begins with little things, like you forget where you left the car keys. Then suddenly your bank accounts bounce while it shouldn't bounce. And then it becomes worse and worse. Then you have people that will claim they saw you somewhere while you weren't there. Why? Because familiar spirits can morph themselves into your appearance and appear in places. And people may see the paranormal apparition over there, but they see a human figure, and a human figure looks like you. So they think, I saw Rashid over there, while I wasn't there at all. And then it will be things like things are breaking in a house, or things are breaking in an apartment complex, and then you often arrive late in the evening, and the police comes and knows a pattern that always late in the evening when you're about to arrive, something breaks in the apartment complex. So based on this pattern, the police begins to suspect you, even though you didn't break anything. It's the entities haunting that apartment complex, but they have developed a pattern that will point to you. And human beings, often, they don't look at the bigger picture. They will think it's you. So it can be that you live in an apartment complex together with other folks. And you hear the door slam at 4 o'clock in the morning often. You hear them flush your toilet multiple times. And you think, how often can someone go to the toilet? So you become upset. You're really angry that they don't consider you because you need to wake up, you need to go to work, or you need to go to college. Then one day there was an escalation, altercation in the student dorm. The police had to come. Afterwards, people just behaved towards one another. But then one guy tells you, Bart, I'm leaving the student dorm. And you ask Bart, you still have to finish the semester. And Bart tells him, my safety is more important than getting my diploma. And you ask him, Bart, what's going on? Are you talking about that altercation happens a week ago? When that chick became upset, began to scream and all of that. Oh, I thought we were all over that already. And Bart tells you, Kevin, this place is haunted. Or maybe he will not tell you that the place is haunted, because maybe he thinks you won't believe it, but he may tell you there's something not right with this house. You need to get out of here. And he leaves. But you don't get it. Now, here's what's going on. That place is haunted indeed. There are several entities haunting the apartment complex, and the real estate officer knows about it. And he's a pagan, so he knows that no real estate office wants to deal with that apartment complex because they know it's haunted. So there's a real estate officer that manages the complex. He rents the place to students, but he knows very well that it's haunted. He knows very well that every semester someone dies or someone gets seriously hurt over there. So that's why the real estate officer seldom comes to check how things are at the apartment complex. Normally he should come twice a month, but he never comes. Even the police officers that came out of the altercation began to ask questions. Why is the real estate officer never around? Or, I'll say the landlord. I'm telling you, when familiar spirits are gaslighting you, when a human does it, we call it stalking. When unclean spirits do it, it's gaslighting. Because with a human, you can see the human that's after you. When familiar spirits are doing it, you don't see the familiar spirits, but you notice the disturbances in your daily life. Always look at the bigger picture. Such things would come after us because, A, we follow Christ, and unclean spirits are anti-Christ, so they will take actions against us. It's not just human beings that will turn on us. There are evil spirits that will come after you to hinder you. And one way they come after you is by gaslighting you. Human narcissists that use gaslighting, unconsciously they're copying what demons are doing. Look, don't take this lightly when you notice that there are disruptions in your daily life that don't add up. Because that's how it begins. And builds up until you end up in a situation that's fatal and a human being either kills you or you end up in intensive care at the hospital. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. It will always escalate. Therefore, do the following. Anytime someone calls you, or someone texts you, or someone talks to you on social media, because people also use social media today, after you have contact with someone, examine how you feel afterwards and examine how your following 2 or 3 days are. If within 2 or 3 days you feel heavy every time you speak or you have interaction with someone, then know that individual is an open door that unclean spirits will use. So lower your contact, or if you need to have contact, have practical contact with the individual. Don't just sit there on the phone or on text message, being very comfortable with them. Don't be. Because the signs revealed onto you that this individual can be used against you, even if the individual has nothing against you personally. Okay? Another thing. If you notice that objects start going missing, begin to praise the Lord, begin to decree repercussions. And while you're doing this, the Holy Spirit will point out certain things to you that you need to do. Maybe you have an object in your house that some friend gave to you years ago, and it's a lovely object, but then the Holy Spirit tells you get rid of the object. You don't know why, but you obey the Holy Spirit. And later you find out that the grandmother of that friend is deep into voodoo. And then you find out that it's really the grandmother of that friend that gave that gift to that friend to give to you. So the grandmother, who was deeply involved in voodoo, used that object to remote view you. But because you walked by faith, was a disturbance. She couldn't just remotely view you. But that's why you had those disturbances. Because that charmed object was there, and unclean spirits could use that charmed object as an access point to your house. So when you begin to pray and fast, decree consequences and decree repercussion, all of that, those spirits direct you to that object. And now you realize, I need to get rid of this object. Or maybe you are praying and fasting and doing what you have to do, and suddenly the Holy Spirit brings someone to your mind. Maybe it's your boss that the Holy Spirit brings to your mind. But you don't know why the Holy Spirit brings him to your mind. But then you have the feeling that it's better for you to look for another job. Even though you're on good terms with your boss often even gives you 3 days without you having to come to work. Things are going well at the job, but you sense that something's wrong with the boss. Then you obey the Holy Spirit. You get another job. You leave on good terms from your old workplace and enter your new workplace. And it's afterwards that you think back, realize that your boss was quite distant and fearful towards his own staff. And then you realize that, hold on a minute, there was this female co-worker of yours that was often loud at the workplace. She kind of dominated everyone on the workplace. And then you realize that, hold on a minute, this female co-worker was really a witch that was usurping the boss position, and she was messing with the finances of the company. She even made loans and took credit cards on the name of the company. And the boss is so bewitched he doesn't even know she's doing it. And then you realize that sooner or later that witch would look for a scapegoat to escape the consequence of her actions. And she probably would have chosen you. And therefore the Holy Spirit told you it's better to look for another job. The Holy Spirit didn't reveal everything to you, what was going on. But while you sensed the disruptions, those disruptions came because that witch was murmuring about you and mentally negatively about you behind your back to the boss, but the boss didn't take it. The boss didn't tell you about it. But you sensed a psychic attack. And that was a warning signal. And that's why when we begin to pray, the Holy Spirit revealed unto you, spare you to get another job. Look, familiar spirits will gaslight you. That's what familiar spirits do. Do not ignore the symptoms. Anticipate the symptoms, and when you know some symptoms, take actions in the spirit and follow the actions in the natural. Always be active. Therefore, whenever a situation appears, look at the pattern behind the situation. Look at the pattern. Well, that's it for now. Keep agreeing with Christ and be at peace.